were observing American planes, American evacuation forces on board leaving Kabul. What do you think should happen now in the relations between Taliban government and Western countries? What are the perspectives in your opinion? Difficult situation, of course.
Yeah, Taliban is a terroristic group, and this group is not it's not one group actually. If you see, like inside of the Taliban, we have other groups. Like we have Hafiz Saeed group, we have Afghani group, which they are more close to the ISIS than the Taliban. But at the same time, we have type of Talibans, which they are locals. They want some type of peace and stability. So trust to Taliban is very, very dangerous, in my opinion. Because in the past, we saw that Taliban, they give place for Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan, and they have very deep connection, ideological connection with the all Islamist and radical groups around the globe. So, in my opinion, the West and the international community, they should not recognize Taliban. Yeah, they should definitely have relation because of the humanitarian helps, hates. That's different, but political relation with Taliban, in my opinion, it's very dangerous for the future of the world.
In the course of evacuation from the airport in Kabul, an attack took place. We all know, terrorist attack claimed by Islamic State, which has not been heard of for quite a long time. Can the current situation in the country allow Islamic State fighters to revive their activities or strengthen their organization, in your opinion?
When we are talking about ISIS in Afghanistan, which is called Khorasan province of ISIS, it's a bit different than the ISIS in Syria and Iraq. The ISIS in Afghanistan, for the first time, they come to exist in 2015, and mostly the ISIS it is combination of some other radical group in the region, like Hafiz Saeed group, Afghani group, and Pakistani Taliban, and Central Asian fighters, which they are mostly inside of the Taliban, and the radical groups mostly they join the ISIS. In my opinion, what I follow the situation of ISIS for a long time, from the first leader of them in Afghanistan, which was Hafiz Saeed itself, to the last one, which is Al-Muhajir now. So the ISIS, it is not, they do not have the same concept like ISIS in Iraq and Syria had. In my opinion, this is more intelligent group. They are mostly the fighters from Urukzai Agency in Fatah region of Pakistan. So definitely, in my opinion, this is a type of intelligent group which the Pakistan have huge influence on them. And when they didn't want an attack in Kabul or Afghanistan in the last at least 8 years, when they didn't want an attack that Taliban should accept, they were just saying that ISIS did it and ISIS was accepting that attacks. And that was very strategical attack. So when we see their work in the region and in Afghanistan especially, I believe that this ISIS is an intelligent proxy fighters in the region, and this is a bit different than the ISIS in Syria and Iraq. And definitely, your main question was if they start to fight after this or if they had anything in the field. Yes, because in my opinion, the region, especially Pakistan intelligence, they had a plan to collapse the government of Afghanistan. Now it is turned for a civil war in Afghanistan. So a civil war will not happen without the ISIS in Afghanistan in the new scenario, in my opinion.
So could you elaborate a little bit the last point? You believe that there is a likelihood of civil war in Afghanistan right now?
Of course, because if we see the evidence in the field, Afghanistan government collapsed. but the structure of Taliban have problem. Right now, we heard some reports that the Taliban groups, which is mostly Mullah Baradar group and Aqani group, they have problem with each other for the making the new government. Like they have problem who should take the defense ministry, interior ministry, and there is a huge influence of ISI, the Pakistan intelligence, which they wanted to take most important positions in the Taliban system because they will continue to have this influence. And there are some groups which is inside of the Taliban and they are against Pakistan. So definitely there is a high chance of a civil war. And if we know that the resistance force also they are fighting in Panjshir for the last 1 week. And in other part of Afghanistan, I have reports that there are local commanders which they are preparing for a new war. So definitely there should be some new players, and mostly the North Alliance, which they will definitely fight with Taliban, and ISIS is another group which, if the North Alliance make a type of peace agreement with Taliban, they will push the idea of ISIS to fight with Taliban, and there will be a civil war.
That could be very, let's say, even the worst scenario than now, I think, for the people of Afghanistan, as we were observing the horrors of the civil war in Syria since 2011. Let's hope for the best solution for all. Other important supply I'd like to ask you about, you mentioned Pakistan policy towards Afghanistan a bit, but I would like to ask you also about other players in the region, important players except Pakistan, which is Iran and Turkey, and how they can see the, let's say, American withdrawal from the Afghanistan. Can countries like Iran and Turkey strengthen their own forces and their own influence in the region? Do you think there are other countries that may be satisfied with the current situation in related to national security of Afghanistan?
Definitely. Every country have their own benefit and national interest in case of Afghanistan. Like if we see, but there is one common aim they had for a long time. Like most of our neighbors, they want America to lose the war in Afghanistan, and they were supporting Taliban politically and even militarily. We have reports about, and there are evidence about. So there are different countries, they have different interests. Like in case of Iran and Turkey do not have a direct interest in Afghanistan. They are mostly they involve in the Afghanistan case to just show that they are a key player in the region and in the world. So they will not have anything serious, in my opinion. They will try to keep their relationship good with Taliban, but I don't see any serious interest of Turkey, at least inside of Afghanistan. But Iran, they have a security interest, because we know that Iran have around 890 kilometer border with Afghanistan in the west part. So definitely this will be a very big issue for Iran. Iran till now, Iran wanted that Americans should lose the war in Afghanistan and NATO. There is no doubt about that, and they are happy about this. But Iran ideology and Taliban ideology is a bit different. In the past, we saw that 25 years ago, the Taliban and Iran relationship was not quite good. And for now, at least, Iran managed to have some type of contact with Taliban. They were supporting Taliban in the west part of Afghanistan, especially in Helmand, in Herat, Farah, Ghor, and Badghis provinces. And I believe that Iran will try their best to just keep this much relationship and they also managed to save their own forces. Like there are some Shia forces in Afghanistan. Around 15% of Afghanistan population is Shia. So Iran will have interest to keep them safe and to just make type of relationship between the Shia forces or the Shia group with the Taliban. And I do not see more interest for Iran at least. But definitely I know one point, that Russia have the same type of problem, because Russia, there is a lot of Central Asian fighters, Chechenian fighters in the Taliban, inside of the Taliban. So they are afraid that if this group want to make new groups in Central Asia, this will be a problem for the national security of Russia. So, in my opinion, these countries, they just will keep this relationship to the level that they have now, and they will not develop it more, because it will not be good for them. Because soon the Taliban will change their mind, and in my opinion, soon the Taliban will start to think slowly. If we can defeat America in the Afghanistan, so there is no problem to occupy maybe Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. So they are easy targets. So, and also there are some groups inside of the Taliban which they have this type of interest. So definitely, in my opinion, in the near future, there will be some problem between their relationship. But it's connected with the Taliban political leadership, that how they keep this distance between the commanders of Taliban and also the regional interest of the countries.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. In your opinion, there is a risk that Taliban can spread its influence all across the region and maybe even to more distant countries, just like we were observing the tries of this kind made by the Islamic State, ISIS, in the past, right?
There is one important point. I am not saying that the Taliban will start to attack the others, but the Taliban, they manage the land and the place and all the necessary things for the other groups. Like in the past, we saw that ISIS, the Al Qaeda was in Afghanistan, and all the time they are in Afghanistan. So the Al Qaeda fighters, Afghanistan is a peaceful place for them, and Afghanistan is a very very easy place to live. Like no one will do anything with them. So it will be the same for all the other Islamist group. Like we have TTP, which is like mostly the Pakistani Taliban. We have Central Asian Taliban. Like there is a group which is called Tahir Yuldash and some other commanders of Taliban, which is quite big commanders from Uzbekistan, and some fighters from Tajikistan, from China. So definitely these fighters will try, even if they do not, if they couldn't manage to make a type of deal with Taliban. Okay, let's attack together to Pakistan, to Central Asia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, or some other places. But they will manage to help other groups inside of these countries to grow. And also, there is no doubt that international terrorism, which is mostly ISIS, Al Qaeda, and other groups like this, they will develop in Afghanistan, and the Taliban will help them. There is no doubt about this.
Yes, it's. Thank you very much, Ahmad. And now I would like to maybe move a little bit from this political analysis of the situation towards humanitarian situation. I know that you have experience in humanitarian projects. The current, let's say, crisis in Afghanistan has had devastating effect on humanitarian situation. All observers expect a constant migration going on that has, it seems that it has already begun. What will have the greatest impact of the residents' willingness to flee the country right now? Do you think, what are the perspectives for related to the migrants and situations with migrations from Afghanistan, in your opinion?
Yeah, this is a very important issue. There is no doubt that there will be a humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan soon. And if we see the experience of last 20 years, the Afghanistan government was not able to collect the national sources, so there was a deficit of $2 billion. And the international community, mostly America, European Union, India, Japan, and some other countries, they were helping Afghanistan government to just cover this deficit, uh, and at least to give the expense of the government and also the development projects. But from the time that the Taliban take over Afghanistan, all around 700 development projects stopped, and a lot of countries stopped their aids for Afghanistan. So definitely there will be a huge problem. Soon the Afghanistan economy will collapse, because I do not believe that the Taliban have enough source to give the government spends. And also humanitarian support, it is a big problem for Afghanistan. If you see, like from 2001 to 2008, the Afghanistan people, they stopped to immigrate outside. Then we have around 5 million immigration. They just returned back to the Afghanistan from 2008 to 2015. But from 2016, the Afghan immigration start again. So in my opinion, a big number of Afghans, in my opinion, around between 3 to 7 million will wanted to immigrate, definitely. And that will create a huge pressure on the regional countries, on our neighbors, and also even for Europe, because we know that one of the best destination for Afghanistan immigrant is Europe. So definitely they will find a way to come to Europe, and we will have around between 5 to 7 million immigrants, in my opinion, in the next 3 years.